Welcome back to Bearded Barbecue and Adventures, everybody. And tonight, this is something very different. It's just me and my buddies. We're just hanging out in the smoke pit. We've got some, what are those jalapeno popper sausages, right?
Yeah, jalapeno poppers and then jalapeno popper sausages. Do a little taste test and see how close we can get.
Yeah, so we're gonna check that out. And guys, keep me honest too. Let's make sure that the green lights stay on the mics.
Indeed.
But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out. We're kind of talking. Think of this almost like a podcast, but you can see our goofy reactions. So it's a win-win, a video podcast. Maybe there is a technical term for that. You guys are smarter than me. But anyway, yeah, it's whatever it is, right? So we're just sitting around chit-chatting and just kind of enjoying the evening. What's absurd in the middle of July? I mean, it can't be more than 80 degrees out here.
This is
now.
Great out here
With
right
a light
now.
breeze.
The light breeze. I mean, like you don't get that in Texas in July.
This is an unheard of evening.
Yeah.
Right here.
I apologize for my nipples
July
are showing
12th,
through my shirts already.
Right here in the heat of it.
Yeah.
This should be, I mean, just miserable still.
Yeah.
Pouring in sweat at this moment in
Man,
time.
That's right.
I don't have any sweat
Miserable.
stains on my
Sun's
shirt.
going down still at this time, and right now it is very pleasant. So we're going to enjoy it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys, floor is open. We can talk about whatever.
Well, we were talking about Texas beaches, and Ron just got back from South Padre about 2 weeks ago.
Yep,
and
yep.
Said it was full of tar.
It had we had a little bit of tar, coming on the beaches, getting on your feet a little bit.
Which was little balls, right?
Yeah,
balls
yeah.
up,
The
little
little balls had. It wasn't too bad, but it was definitely enough that you did have to wash it off of you about once a day. So it was. But other than that, the waves were really big because the tropical storm that had just passed through Mexico had just passed, and we got on the beach the 2 days after it had passed. So the waves were massive.
Was that Alberto that came through? Was that
It had to have been, right? We're on B's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only other one we've had so far.
Yeah, that storm had passed through, and so the water was definitely kicking. Saw some surfing going on there. It was a good time.
JW Marriott backs up to a nature preserve, so they got like hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of unspoiled land. On the other side of this nature preserve is an apiary. Now, I think that's the right term. That's the term my mom used to describe like a bee farm, if you will. So, you get the beehives and all those things. So she called it an apiary. That might be...
We will ask the Googler, and then we will link it if we're correct or not.
Okay.
The power of editing.
So one of the... I'm not going to say it's a downside, but one of the things you have to deal with when you're at the JW Marriott sitting at the pool, having cocktails and stuff like that, is there's bees kind of buzzing around, doing what bees do. Well, you can't get too mad because Freetown Brewing has
Freetail.
Is it Freetail?
Freetail.
Okay.
Freetail.
You were close.
I was
You were really close.
I was drinking a little bit at the JW.
Yeah,
that's hard to believe.
I was
drinking a little
myself.
bit.
Yes.
But they have partnered with whoever it is that runs that apiary on the other side, and they make a honey blonde ale that is only made for the JW Marriott. So you can only get it there, and they use that honey from the bees that are flying back and forth. So your pina colada or your Texas Vice cocktail, whatever you might be having there, whatever that little sugar nectar those bees are sucking up, they're taking back, they're making honey out of that.
Wow.
And then Freetail is taking that honey and making this honey blonde ale. I'm not gonna lie, it was good.
Was that was one of the ones on tap?
That was I think they had 3 or 4 on tap, and that was one of them.
Is that similar to a Hefeweizen, like the honey blonde ale, like flavor profile, or?
Yes, but not as citrusy as like a Hefeweizen might
I
be.
don't remember that beer being there. Like I said, when I went, the place had just opened up very recently, and like I said, that's awesome. That makes me want to go back.
Oh,
now.
dude, it was and once I found that out, that was my goal was to try every drink they had on the menu, so every beer, every cocktail, and I got pretty close, fellas. I got pretty close.
The one thing about the JW Marriott, they have a massive social bar area.
Oh yeah,
on the bottom level. I mean, huge chairs, and there's sitting areas that you can just see. I mean, it looks probably an acre and a half of just inside seating surrounding this massive bar on the bottom floor.
And like any good hotel, they give you the option to charge it to the room, right? So there's no cash, there's no cards.
Yes.
You're
I
just putting
charged everything to my room.
Yeah. because I don't want to have to suffer the pain of signing that bill 1,000 times. So I'm going to sign one bill when it's all said and done. You know, take the blow and be done with it.
Do they have like the RFID bands, like wristbands or
they
something?
They do have wristbands. Yes. So when you come in, you do have to have your wristband. They are pretty. They're pretty particular. They're making sure if you're bringing bags in, they're checking your bags. They say to make sure there's no glass, but in a lot of ways, they're making sure you're not bringing in any special beverages of your own concoction because they want you paying money at the bar.
Sure.
Hey, it's capitalism in its purest form. It works.
There you
go. The hard part for me was that I have 3 daughters. I have a 12-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old, and during the time we were there, they each figured out how to charge things to the room. So they could walk up to the bar and they could get themselves a virgin strawberry daiquiri, or they had the Dippin' Dots ice cream, or peanut butter jelly sandwiches, whatever it was. They had figured out how to charge that thing to the room. No questions asked. So our bill was a little bit larger when we left than what I was expecting because there was a couple of other charges I didn't think were going to be there, but everybody had a good time.
So apiary, also known as a bee yard. It's more country.
Right.
Bee yard sounds
Why
better.
can't we say that's them bee yards, man? It's buzzing around my drink over there, and I tell you what, that's the best bee poop I ever had.
Not to be confused with an aviary, which is
bird.
A bird. So
Bird.
it's but that's why it sounds similar.
APERY?
APIARY.
APIARY.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna lie.
Apiary?
When you first said apiary, I thought you were talking about like somebody had a bunch of apes like running around, like orangutans or something in the.
And my mom was the one who told me that, and she had a cocktail or two, and she doesn't drink all that much, and so when I was like, sure, Mom, sure thing, apiary, you got it. But delicious, man. The honey blonde ale that they put out is delicious.
I'm gonna have to next time I stay there. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Please.
And one thing for you, CJ, you're a teacher. The weekend that we stayed there 3 days. It was a teacher promotional weekend. So so my brother, so the family members that are teachers in Texas, they booked all the rooms.
Okay.
Me not being a teacher, I got the discount from a family member. But they have some.
You just admitted to a
You
crime.
you need to
We'll edit that out. No big deal.
really.
Ron's address is.
Yeah. I would definitely look for one of those teacher promotional weekends. It literally, I think it was like 50% off your room. It was that much. It really was. It was something that they offered for administrators and teachers.
Oh, dang. That's good to know.
And he was, my brother's a vice principal, so it was for them as well. So,
that's good to know. I wasn't, the room prices weren't astronomical compared to what you might pay for like a condo down on South Padre or something like that.
Yeah.
So that part it was literally everything else. I mean they have so many different restaurants and things like that, and we ate at all of them. They had a really good steakhouse, 18 Oaks Steakhouse, which is right there. I think it's on the turn on their golf course. The 9th and 10th hole right there.
You're going to tell us Tomahawk, right?
That's exactly what we had. That's exactly So. We went to the 18 Oaks golf course with some really good friends of ours. Any meal is best enjoyed in a group, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, something like that. Don and his family and my family had gone to San Antonio. We had enjoyed a 48
ounce tomahawk ribeye.
At what was the name of the restaurant? Do you remember? We walked past it. We were in San Antonio.
Something, Two Brothers or something like that.
Okay, man, we walked past it. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Did they have a name of the steak? Was it called the Old Timer?
It was just, I think they just.
Y'all remember the Great Outdoors?
The old 96er?
Yeah, or I thought, the old 96er. That's right. I thought it was the old
the 48er.
Yeah,
we
wisely ate that as a group,
and it fed us all.
It did.
Wow.
There was what, five of us there? Yeah. No problem whatsoever. So it was a group of 4 of us. This was a 34-ounce tomahawk, so a little bit smaller. But I think we had ordered every seafood appetizer they had. So we had scallops, and we had shrimp cocktail, and we had crab cakes and stuff like that. And then we ordered a cod or a halibut dish on top of that. Brother, we went all out. The drinks were flowing. They had a drink called the Honey Badger. I had a few of them, and it was like an old-fashioned. There was something else in there. Maybe it was jalapeno. I think maybe there was a little jalapeno in there. So it was like a kind of a spicy old-fashioned in a way. It was so good. Nobody else liked it. I really liked it. And then the wine started to flow, and then I had a hard time doing the math to sign the bill.
Yeah.
to-
So at
to
the
get
end
out
of the
there.
end of the trip, it was like your bill is $9,000.
It was one of those nights where you wake up the next morning and you go, "What did we do?" Okay, too late now.
Yeah.
But it was. Whew, I would suggest hit it up on your way if you're there at the JW.
Yeah, it was fun.
This is probably one of the most fun trips to San Antonio was when we went with you guys because we spent how long at the Alamo?
That's a good question, man.
We were there for hours.
I think we got there.
Not that I'm insulted, but I've been on trips with him to San Antonio.
Oh,
I
And
said
now he
one of
says-
the. I said one of the best. Yeah,
well, that's right. Yeah, you're in the running,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, okay.
one of the best.
You're in the running.
Like because I don't know. Like I would say it was as much fun as the heated pool, and we do have a video about that, y'all.
Oh yeah,
The heated pool and the pie on the stick.
Pie on a
We
stick.
just forget.
I was sick.
Yeah, make sure y'all check that video out. I'll put it in the link. But
Yeah. So we didn't really get a chance to do San Antonio proper, kind of
Right.
like we did with y'all.
Yeah.
We did have some friends of ours who are from Louisiana
Ooh, go Tigers.
and New York and had not ever been to the Alamo before. So
Okay.
I tried to give them the best
Did you-
experience I could.
Did you get questioned about being sanctioned?
I did not get accosted as being an unsanctioned travel guide like we did with y'all this time. So I try to keep it a little bit more on the down low and not be as overt in me
Yeah.
trying to tell people
Yeah.
about what was going on. Try to be a little bit smarter this time around, and nobody asked any questions. We did go to a place I went to when I was a kid a couple times. Natural Bridge Caverns.
Oh, yeah.
Natural,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Natural
Love
Bridge.
Natural
Oh,
Bridge
yeah.
Caverns.
That
It's
place.
a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
Very
been
cool.
there. I've been there 3 times.
Yeah, this was my third time. Yeah.
Yeah. Really good set of caves. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, for it being in
In the
central
hill country,
Texas,
yeah.
I was. I mean, it's a big section.
It's so cool. Like
Largest-
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Largest largest cave system in the state of Texas.
Oh yeah.
We took myself, my wife, my 3 girls, and we took my 76-year-old mother. I think that's how old she is right now. She was hell bent she was going to go because she had been. I think this was her third time as well. She had gone shortly after it opened, so I think Natural Bridge Cabins opened in like 67 or something like that. So she went like 66, 67, 68. She went again when I was younger. Let's say maybe 30 years ago, 30 some odd years ago. So, she's in her 40s then. And then we took a 76-year-old woman. And I knew we were in trouble when they said that the experience was like descending down an 18-story building and then climbing back up that 18-story building again. And I thought, we might be in trouble here.
And if memory serves, the descent down is kind of gradual.
Oh, it is.
But when you're coming out,
oh
it
man,
gets
that
steep.
sucker. Yeah. That's. So I was basically behind my mom, just kind of keeping one hand on her, just trying to, keep her
And
going
that
forward.
seems to be the norm in a lot of the cave system, places. They Carlsbad in New Mexico, same way too. You can take the elevator down,
Okay.
or take the elevator to exit, and then a lot of people get nostalgic. It's like, oh well, I'm going to exit through the stairway. Big mistake. It's a big mistake.
So here's what had changed since the last time I was there, which was probably in the, let's say the 90s, I guess was the last time I was there, maybe sometime in the mid to late 90s. They have another cave they've opened up. So you're probably familiar with what they call the Discovery Tour, the Discovery Cave. That's the original cave that's been there since 1967 or whenever they opened it all
I
up.
didn't even realize it was that new of a cave system that was alive for the public. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it hasn't been around all that terribly long, but just outside of that cave system, they have done some exploratory drilling. They found a whole nother cave system that they just opened up, I want to say a year ago. So 2023, something like that. They call that the Hidden Wonders Tour.
And was it as spectacular as the other one?
In some ways, more so.
Really?
And I will say this because this cave was never what you might call, I think the term they use is, it's a living cave, so all the formations are still growing and stuff like that. But there was never a natural entrance into this cave, so bats and things like that, and people never got down in here. So there's a lot of formations you see in this second cave that you don't necessarily see in the first cave. So if you remember Natural Bridge Cabins, they're like towards the end of the tour, there's this giant pile of bat guano that's like
Right.
5,000 years old or something like that.
Right.
And you can look up on the ceiling, you kind of see where bats have been hanging for 5,000 years. So this other cave was completely closed off. You actually get to see like the holes they punched in the ground to find this thing. And so it was completely untouched by man, by animal, and like that. And a lot of those stalactite, I think those are the ones that hang from the ceiling, and stalagmite formations, a lot of those very small, they call them soda straw structures because they're so thin.
Yeah.
Those are still intact and very long because there's no bats flying around crashing into those things. So apparently bats, they have, echolocation is how they find their way, stuff like that. Apparently those soda straws, those very thin stalactite formations are so thin that even echolocation doesn't register for the bats. They kind of fly around, they smack into it, it breaks off, the bat's okay, it corrects itself. In this other cave, man, you just got stalactite formations all over the place. And it's kind of a weird deal. Like you walk down to this cave, and as opposed to being a gradual descent, it is like just a hole, man. You were just going down this hole, this deep, dark hole. It was a little bit overwhelming. Myself, my wife, my mother had all been to a cave system before, but my 3 girls were looking at me like, what the hell did you just get us into? Like, you told us this was going to be cool. This is not cool. But it was awesome, man. It was really cool to get to go and see a lot of these formations really in kind of a pristine, condition. So if you go, I suggest doing both. I do both.
Looks like we need to make a new trip coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't been in 20 plus years, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
The
been a while
Natural
for me.
Bridge Cabin.
I remember part of it. To get out to it, there's a long, straight stretch of country road.
Yes.
That if you're so inclined, you can go quite quick on.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's nothing in the
If
way.
you're so inclined. Like, was that even a question for you?
Other people.
The other, yeah.
We also booked the bat flight tour. So they have Bracken Cave, which is just a couple miles away from Natural Bridge, and it's a really kind of open cave, and it is the largest grouping of mammals anywhere in the world. So millions of Mexican free-tailed bats fly in and out of this thing every day. And during the summer months, that you can book tours to go watch these guys fly out. And we booked it. Unfortunately, while we were there, we got hit by one of those little summer rainstorms that came down real hard, real fast, lightning, thunder, the whole 9 yards. So by the time we got done with the caves and stuff like that, and I got done pushing my mom, through an 18-story building, they had to cancel the bat flight tour, which in a way was a blessing in disguise because my mom was exhausted. The girls were exhausted. We could go back to the JW Marriott. We could go make some charges on the room that we'll pay for later on. We'll pay for over the next 3 years. Thank you, Discover Card. And we can enjoy ourselves there. So, but I would, if you haven't been, please go. Please go back.
I can do that. So my only credit card I really use is my Marriott card. This isn't a commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
And so I use it, paid off every month, and have all kind of points on there to stay.
So same here. We are also Bonvoy members,
Yeah.
fellow Bonvoy members.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Certain level of prestige.
Yeah.
So the JW is a little bit
A lot of points.
Well, our points were not usable. I think also it was July 4th weekend.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure July 4th weekend they're like no.
Slack
Exclusion.
Everybody is paying full price.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm sure you can use it. Don't book July 4th weekend.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't even think about that. We had thought about going to one of those places where they have the little huts out on the water. There's a couple of Marriotts that have that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to take a vacation out there, which, that's kind of a bucket list thing.
It was worth it, dude. I would definitely suggest it. If you haven't been, go.
Definitely. Speaking of caves, Don, were you with us when we were on that cruise and we went in that cave down in Mexico where we had to swim part of the tour?
No, I heard about it, but I was not there for that.
It was, yeah. So the bad thing about it when we went, I think it was my daughter, maybe my son, and forgive me, children. But you're going through the cave and it starts to get a little narrow and cold, and all of a sudden you step down into water. They tell you ahead of time, but you step down into water and the cave also gets low, and you have to swim where and it's cold too. So the water's like 50 degrees, or at least it felt 50 degrees.
Man.
And the cave is like this tall. The water's right here, so you're swimming with your head
just
above water. It's not super long, and the kid that was on my back was screaming the entire time. I forget which kid it was, but they didn't like it. And they were clawing on me the whole
Oh.
time, and I'm swimming through the water. And eventually you come out the other side, and it's like a big pool. And you can jump in it. It's fun, but not for like 4-year-olds.
No. Yeah.
We made that mistake.
Dang.
My 7-year-old did not enjoy the first cave. She enjoyed the second cave once she figured out she wasn't going to die here.
Sure.
She realized this is going to be okay. Natural Bridge does offer a adventure tour, and there's 2 different types. There's like a climbing, rappelling adventure
It's
tour.
like a spelunking. Is it spelunking?
Spelunking, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Which we brought that term up. So spelunking, if you're not familiar, is like cave exploration. That's like the term for spelunking. That's the definition of spelunking.
Right.
We brought that term up at Natural Bridge Caverns, and we had 3 people who worked there go, "What are you talking about? What is that word?
Wow,
What are you?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." But they offer an adventure tour, and you can like do like climbing and rappelling in one, and you can do like the squeezing through rocks
Right,
and
no,
the
thank
other.
you.
Oh no!
Or you can do the
Claustrophobic,
combination of the
I-
2.
no,
and
no.
Because with the squeezing with the rock, if I remember right, there's an extra room like you can't see otherwise.
Right.
So you can squeeze in
This
there and
is,
see
this is the only way you can get there.
the bonus room.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Uh-uh.
And the champagne room of caves.
Oh yeah.
Cave
Hard
system.
pass.
Well,
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Enchanted Rock. Have you guys
Oh,
ever been to
yeah,
Enchanted
yeah,
Rock?
okay.
Yeah,
Enchanted
we've been
Rock.
So if you go up to the top of it and just over the back of Enchanted Rock, there's a little unofficial cave system. Have you ever crawled through that?
no.
Yeah.
It's not crazy long, but it's the same deal. You get to one point to where the cave is at. There's kind of the 2 ways to go around it, and if you're as big as we are now, you
Yeah.
don't fit through it.
Yeah.
Wow.
We went through it as high schoolers, and I'm claustrophobic as it is, but I was, big bad
Yeah,
height up.
yeah.
And we made through it, but I just about freaked out down there. And it's not crazy long, but you squeeze through this one little area, and then when you go out, you got to kind of climb up a little chute to get out of it. But interesting.
No, that sounds wonderful.
At Enchanted Rock, yeah.
Not for me. Thank you
Well,
very much.
I don't know about you guys, but I think now's a good time for a break because we've got
Food.
to refill. We've got food that we got to kind of get prepped and get out of here. So see you guys in a minute.